It's been 257 days since the Broncos played their last game at Empower Field at Mile High, but we are now mere days, mere hours, in fact, from the Broncos returning here in Denver for the 2020 regular season. Welcome into Broncos Weekend, everybody. I'm Matt Boyer, alongside the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and Alexis Perry. This is our new show, guys, Broncos Weekend, getting you guys set up for all you need to know headed into the weekend before the Broncos take the field. Everything from food to football, but how excited are we? Finally, football is back.
I can't believe it's here.
Yes, I mean, it seemed like this summer was a little bit longer than other summers because of the pandemic and all the other stuff that's been going on. 2020 is one for the record books.
Oh, man, I know.
Short preseason, short, training camp, it felt like, but a very long offseason as a whole.
I agree.
This week felt like an entire year. Just thinking about everything that happened with this team. Let's start with Wednesday. The Broncos lose Von Miller, an ankle injury, and then after that, Cortland Sutton going down with a sprained AC joint, according to Adam Schefter. So let's start with Von because we know he's not going to be playing in this game. Alexis, I'm going to go to you first. How do you replace the type of production that a guy like Von Miller gives you?
I mean, it's nearly impossible. When you think of an injury as devastating as this one, you want to think, oh, it's next man up and take that next man up mentality into it. But I don't know how you replace an 8-time Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl MVP, and a surefire Hall of Famer. Von Miller and what he was about to do on the field this year, it was going to be incredible. We all know 8 sacks last year. I don't want to say I was going to double that number, but I was going to say double digits for Von Miller this year. So the fact that he won't have that opportunity is heartbreaking.
Steve, you've been in locker rooms where guys have gone down, big-time leaders. What are the Broncos losing in a leader like Von Miller?
Well, I mean, not only are you losing that production, and hopefully both Malik Reed and Jeremiah Attachu are able to step up to the plate and, fill in. Maybe not have the type of season Von would have, but still play their best game. That's what Coach Fangio said. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just go out and play your game, and we'll be just fine. But the leadership portion is a big part of it as well. I mean, he was so inspired this summer by Kobe Bryant and his unfortunate passing, and then watching Michael Jordan in The Last Dance. So, I think he was looking forward to a huge year, and unfortunately, we're not going to get to see that. But I think the rest of the guys will respond well and pick up the slack, and hopefully Von will be around the team enough to still inspire him with his words.
Von drew a lot of headlines, but also Drew Lock did at the beginning of training camp. And when you end the season 4-1, going into the next season, obviously expectations are high, and he gets a quarterback matchup here in week 1. It's going to be Lock versus Tannehill. Alexis, when you look at that matchup and the way those guys ended 2019, what do you see?
I absolutely love this matchup for Monday Night Football. You have a guy who went 4-1 in Drew Lock, somebody who there is so much hype, so much buzz around right now, going up against the 2019 Comeback Player of the Year. And, it's interesting. Their games are a little bit different. Drew Lock, known for his arm strength and his ability to really thread the needle. Ryan Tannehill, his mobility and his versatility, it's kind of what he's known for. So I think you have two really great quarterbacks that are going to be going up against each other on Monday night. And I think it's a fun matchup. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a fun matchup. And I think Drew Lock is where Ryan Tannehill was going into his second year with the Miami Dolphins, just at a point to where he really needs to prove himself. And the Broncos have done a wonderful job of surrounding him with wonderful offensive weapons. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him continue to progress and pick up where he left off last year.
At the start of training camp, head coach Vic Fangio mentioned it, a little inconsistent from Drew Lock, but really ended camp nicely with that last stadium practice right here. Everybody from John Elway to Coach Fangio thought that he really elevated his level of play, so it's going to be exciting to see him here in week 1. Let's go to the running backs now, because we mentioned Tannehill, and a big reason why Tannehill is so successful is because he has that rushing attack with Derrick Henry behind him, 1,500 yards last year. Alexis, when you think about Henry versus the two-headed monster of Gordon and Phillip Lindsay, what do you see?
I think this matchup between those running backs, these rooms, I mean, we're about to see 3 of the best running backs in the game going up against one another. But when it comes to the Broncos' run game, I think it's really important to note that they need to rely a lot on the run game to take some of that pressure off of Drew Lock.
Steve, do you think that coming in, the 1 versus 1A or 1A versus 1B, everybody wanted to see who was going to get that starting job, between Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon. but it's a co-starter job, right? So when you think about what each of them brings to the table, what type of production can that running back spot produce?
Well, I know when I first saw that we signed Melvin Gordon, I was a little bit surprised, but when you really look at it, I mean, it's a great situation for both of the running backs. Both of these guys are Pro Bowl players. Phillip Lindsay, 2,000-yard seasons right off the bat as a college free agent. So I think early on in the season, especially with the injury to Von Miller, they're going to have to really rely on that run game and that offense to put some points on the board.
We mentioned 2 Pro Bowlers at the top, Cortland Sutton and Von Miller, but another Pro Bowler who used to play in Tennessee, now he plays in Denver. A little revenge game coming up for I already see Alexis is loving it. Do you think that this game is going to mean something extra to him?
I think it does. I mean, I don't know if it's human nature to want to prove to your former employer that they made a mistake.
Oh yeah.
Letting you go. And I will tell you, I think by the end of this game on Monday night, that Tennessee front office is going to be like, oh man, we made a mistake. I think he has been completely focused this year since joining the Denver Broncos, not only focused on the field but in the community as well. He is setting roots. He is putting roots down here in Denver. He wants to be here.
We heard from Justin Simmons, about stopping Derrick Henry. Jarrell Casey's going to obviously be a big part of that. As someone who is famous for stopping big running backs, all right, what do the Broncos need to do this week in order to stop Derrick Henry?
Well, Jarrell Casey is going to play a big part in that, and that is, getting that offensive line kind of stopped in their tracks and getting some penetration into the backfield. When we played them last year, Justin Simmons did a good job of, on some blitz plays, getting into the backfield, getting to him early before he got that momentum going. And he hasn't been hit either. I would imagine he hasn't taken many tackles, he hasn't gone to the ground, so he's going to have to get used to that as well.
He's not calloused yet either.
Yeah.